time to see root guard in action, and of course the root we're guarding is the root switch. And right now we're working strictly with VLAN 1. We have 3 switches in our network, with switch 1 a priority of 8192, switch 2 of 16384, switch 3 is at the default, which is 32768. We'll go ahead and do a quick show command. Actually, I already have it on running on switch 3, and you can see the root ID is indeed 8193 for the priority, which is 8192 plus the 1 for the VLAN 1. Now let's go over to switch 1. And we've got 4 tip-offs, so this is the root, but the one we really love is the one that says this bridge is the root, and we're going to stop right there. So right now we know that if everything stays the same, switch 1 will remain the root for VLAN 1. We also know that in most networks, if not all of them, things are not always going to remain the same. The key here is that if we go to the trouble of locking in a particular switch as the root, we've decided which one it is, we've gone out, we changed its priority, we don't want another switch coming online later and taking over that role. And that's exactly, by an amazing coincidence, what is about to happen. Now, switch 4 is online, but I have the port between switch 3 and switch 4 closed right now. Switch 3's fast Ethernet 0/4 is the port that leads to switch 4, and I have that one shut right now because I want you to see these messages as the switch comes online. So what's happening right now is that 4 has a priority of 4096. So it is sending in superior BPDUs. It's going to take over as the root when it comes online. And let's go ahead and see that in action. Let's go over to switch 3. And we'll wait for our little console messages. There's our change state to up. I realize the very end of these long messages is off screen, but change state to up, line protocols come up. Everything looks perfectly fine, except, like I said, this new switch is taken over as the root, because you can see that the priority has changed, and you also see that switch 3 has changed its root port to 04. So that definitely looks like it's the root. Let's go over and take a look at switch 4. And there it is. There's the proof. This bridge is the root. So a couple of reasons we might not want this. First off, the one we've been talking about, we've decided that switch 1 is going to be our root. That's our higher end switch, etc. We like its location in the 3-layer switching model, and that's where we're going to leave it. This switch 4, though, could also be what we call a rogue switch. It could be a switch that's not even under our administrative control. You know, someone even working on the network brought it in. Someone who works with us brought it in. You know, that's happened. Pardon me. So we want to make absolutely sure that we don't end up with another root like this one. We want it to stay at switch 1. So let's go ahead and go back to switch 3. And I'm going to take that one offline like it never even happened. And I'll do a quick show spanning VLAN 1. It's seeing itself right now, but we'll give it a moment here. And let's try that again. And there you can see the election is finished. Root 1, excuse me, switch 1 is again the root for VLAN 1. So what we want to do is make sure that doesn't happen again. We want to make sure that a switch connected to switch 3 doesn't get elected as the root, especially, let's say 0/4 was, you know, the last port we had open. We want to make sure that no device that's connected to that can become our root. And we do that with root guard. This is what we're going to do and what we'll see happen, because when we configure root guard, that disqualifies any switch downstream from that port, because we're going to configure it at the port level. That stops it from becoming the primary or the secondary root. And what we're going to do here again is configure root guard on switch 3 port 4, because that's the one leading to the switch that will try to become the root, as we just saw. Now, when a superior BPDU is received on a port running root guard, that BPDU is going to be discarded and the port is put into root inconsistent state. I'm going to give you 2 different commands that you can use to verify that, and we'll also see those same console messages, but let's see them live. So let's go to that same port. And let's see, we start with spanning, and I don't see anything about root guard there, but we do have a guard option, and that's where it is. So spanning guard root is our command right now. We've put it on the interface. And then I'm going to do a no shut. So switch 4 we know is going to keep sending those BPDUs in. Let's see what happens. We see the interface go up, and look at that. That fast, we got a message about root guard. I didn't do a very good job of highlighting there, but there we go. There's our message. Root guard blocking port fast, Ethernet 0/4 on VLAN 1, which is exactly what we wanted. So let's check our election, our root bridge election. You can see the priority of the root is the same. It's 8193. Switch 4 did not take over because we put root guard on that port. Now there are a couple of ways you can verify this. You're seeing one. I usually use that one. But you also have show spanning inconsistent ports. No hyphen, just inconsistent ports. All is one word. Fortunately, in the real world, you can just put incon, and it's going to show us our inconsistent ports, because we can have another kind of inconsistent port. I have a feeling we're going to see that in an upcoming lab. But this one, it tells you immediately, here's the name, here's the interface, and here's the inconsistency. And when we see root inconsistent, we know that we're talking about root guard. I am sure you noticed, but let me point out, that here with show spanning VLAN 1, we had root inconsistent here, because, you know, here's fast Ethernet 0/4, and it's a designated port, and we've got BKN and then an asterisk next to it. And then when you look at the very end for what that asterisk means, it means root inconsistent. If you actually do a show interface, physically and logically, the interface is still fine. It's still going to be up, and the line protocol is going to be up. So if you look here, you go, well, you know, wait a minute, come on. What you want to do is run either show spanning inconsistent or just show spanning VLAN, and you'll see what's going on. So now, let's take phase 0/4. Should we leave it online? Let's leave it online, because right now what I want to show you is that if inferior BPDUs start getting received on that same port, it should come out of root inconsistent state eventually, because it's still getting the BPDUs from switch 4. The best part is you and I, as the network admins, don't have to do any kind of reset or anything like that. So let's quickly head over to 4, actually 8 here in my rack, and we will set the priority back to the default. So I'm just putting no in front of all of it. And this might take a second. Actually, it's already up there. And check that out. Switch 4 is already seeing switch 1 as the root. So the port must be fine. We're going to give that a few seconds. And there we go. We got the message. Glad I got back over there in time. You can see span tree to root guard unblock. Root guard unblocking port Ethernet fast 0/4 on VLAN 1. That's pretty cool. So again, the interface was not shut down by this particular feature. What happened was it went to root inconsistent, saying, wait a minute, we'll keep taking BPDs from you to see if you get a better attitude, but as long as you try to take over as the root, we're not going to let you communicate with us. So let's run show spanning VLAN 1 one more time. And you can see now everything is as we would expect it. There are no root inconsistent ports. And then finally we'll run show spanning incon. And you can see that the inconsistent port is gone. So that's pretty cool stuff, that we don't have to go in and reset anything. But again, here's what happened when switch 4 sent in that superior BPDU. Once we enabled root guard on switch 3, it put the port into root inconsistent mode. Now, we did all this too, but what if, always taking a step further, what if we didn't want any BPDUs coming in on fast Ethernet 0/4 at all? What if we said, I don't even want any kind of device sending a BPDU in, and if it does, I want you to shut that port down? That's kind of serious, and you're going to see that feature in action on the very next video. I'll see you there.